Good afternoon and welcome to our latest webinar from the National Enabling Programme. Just to remind you, the aim of these webinars is to help support colleagues across forces to adopt the Microsoft 365 platform, to learn from other forces about what they're doing and to try and exploit and get the best value out of the approach we're rolling out across policing. Now, we are expecting a larger audience than normal today, and certainly some people will be joining the webinar today who've not attended previous webinars with the NEP. So just to quickly explain what the webinars are about, but first of all, I would like to introduce our guest speakers from Thames Valley in Hampshire. So today we're going to be joined by Andy Sparshott from the drone unit across the two forces, and his colleague Dan Bell, who will be joining us as well. And in a few moments we'll go through a presentation from them, and they'll share their journey around how they've linked together drones and Microsoft 365. But for those of you that don't know what the NEP is, we're the National Enabling Programme. It's a police-led technology programme to roll out the Microsoft 365 stack in a consistent way across policing to the same standards of effectiveness, security, and the same blueprint. So we do these webinars every week to try and bring together the latest how forces are using the technology, but also some of the developments from Microsoft and how the tools can be used in the police environment, so we can get the best absolute value out of what we're doing. So as normal, these webinars are recorded, and later on today we will be posting this onto the NEP website under the /watch, where you can watch back all our previous webinars, and our future webinars are also listed under there under /events. So take a look and see what you want to do. Now, we know there's a lot of interest from forces in how the drones and the 365 section works, and we don't want Andy and the team to be swamped by emails. The NEP team in each force will be able to help your force to understand how they can move this forward. So if you do need any help with this, please contact us via your force team, your delivery team, or nepinfo@transformation.police.uk, so we can make sure you get the latest information on this going to. So today we're looking at how Andy and Dan have been able to link the work of the drone unit to 365, building on the rollout of 365 across the Thames Valley and Hampshire forces, using what's already there and being able to stream live footage straight to officers, either on the ground using their mobile devices or back to offices such as the control room. It's a really simple but fantastic example of how we can reuse the technology that's already in place to get more value out of it. So this means effectively in those two forces, every single officer in the force is already equipped with a downlink capability from the drones. So that must give more flexibility. I'm going to shut up now and let you hear from the team who are behind this work. So Andy, could you share your journey and what you've been through over the last few months and what you're experiencing at the moment?
Yes, thank you, David, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining, and thank you to the National Enabling Programme giving us the opportunity to share our story with you. I'm Sergeant Andy Sparshott from the Hampshire Constabulary and Thames Valley Police drone capability, also known as unmanned aircraft systems, but we'll refer to drones throughout this presentation and any questions in relation to that. My colleague joining me is Dan Bell, who is the technical aspect of the delivery of Microsoft Teams for the drone live streaming capability. I'm going to start by just covering who we are and what we're about and how we started our journey into drones and what day-to-day operations look like for us. As I mentioned, I'm the operations manager for Hampshire and Thames Valley Police. And Hampshire and Thames Valley Police were fairly late in the UK to drone technology. A number of other forces had already been exploring the benefits of drones. There's no specific reason for us joining or using drones later than others, but the benefit to us was that we obviously learned from other forces ahead of us in terms of what drones could be used for within policing, and the types of drones and all of the training requirements and risk management, etc., etc. So we started as a proof of concept project in 2019, again similar to other forces, and that really was just about introducing drones to both our forces buying drones, training some pilots, going through the Civil Aviation Authority regulations and the licensing requirements, and just really to evaluate what we would use drones for, the types of incidents and tasks, what benefits that they could produce. And this was never about replacing conventional air assets. It's about enhancing our air support capability or our air support requirements. So we started off with a single manufacturer fleet of 7 drones and 35 pilots, and that was the proof of concept phase across both forces. And we are now in a process of transitioning from a successful project into business as usual. And business as usual for us is about increasing the availability of drones across both forces, and increasing their capability. And that means, the types of drones that we're operating, the quality of the cameras, and the live stream is part of that as well. So 20 drones now and 72 pilots. The only full-time member of staff we have is myself, and all of my drone pilots are flying drones as a secondary skill. They deploy to both spontaneous and planned tasks. And what we mean by spontaneous is our force incident managers in the control rooms are asking for an aerial asset to go to an incident and conduct a search or take aerial imagery. And our pre-planned tasks for drones are obviously things where we have some form of notice of an event or a policing operation, and drones are required to support that. Now, I've put some figures there. 432 tasks were recorded in 2020, and those figures are based on 7 drones and 35 pilots. And the proof of concept actually showed that we had insufficient numbers of drones and pilots to meet the increasing demand on the technology across both forces, which is why we are now in that expansion program. So it's just worth really just setting the scene in terms of who we are, what we're about, and what we are operating drones for. Now, the live stream was always an objective within the proof of concept, and the live stream was how could we get a live video stream from the drone to our control rooms, to response officers, and again, this is not necessarily something new in the policing world. Live stream, or downlinking as it's also referred to, is common in the use of conventional aircraft, helicopters and aeroplanes. But because of the systems that they are using, there are some limitations in terms of how many other people can access that imagery or that live video stream at the same time. Now, the key benefit to the live stream is situational awareness, and that's information for decision makers to make decisions based on risk, and taking it into the world of the policing and the emergency services. So the live stream was always an objective, and we had three considerations during the proof of concept. One was to purchase an existing commercially manufactured product. The other was to build a bespoke system with skills and technology that we had access to us within Force. And the third was use of a video conferencing software such as Skype for Business or Microsoft Teams. So again, other forces in the UK have experience of using a conferencing software system to live stream drone footage, but here we've learnt the functionality and just the ease of use of Microsoft Teams, which we'll go into in a bit more detail. So I think at that point I'll hand you over to Dan, who will explain how we have set up the live streaming through Microsoft Teams.
Hi guys, my name's Dan. I am the Digital Business Change for Hampshire and Thames Valley. My job is really to look at the tech that we've got available across the force and identify what can we actually do better. Can we use it for solutions that no one really has thought of, or can we make it work better without us having to go out and spend the public purse on other products just for sort of single-use things. And Teams was something that came into about, it was pushed on Hampshire and Thames Valley quite quickly because of COVID. It's not something we really had much experience beforehand, but it certainly gave us a lot of options to take it forward. The single solution that we had at the beginning was very much dependent on the hardware of the drone solution that we were using. It was trying to work out how could we get that feed from that control station that the pilot can see and push it out to wherever else it needs to be. The controller provides an HDMI out. That's brilliant. We looked at that to provide a link back into Microsoft Teams and open up meetings to make it happen. So looking at the different options, it could be calls, it could be meetings. We found that the meeting solution was the best and easiest way of us progressing. We were able to put together a number of pre-created meeting links, publish those out. We've published them across the intranet sites across both forces, so they're accessible to all of our users, all of our pilots, and any frontline officer that may need to get into that stream at any time, and we can publish what we're using. By accessing the meeting, we take an HDMI connection straight from the ground controller. We use an HDMI to USB converter, and what that allows us to do, it allows the laptop pretty much to take what the drone's seeing, that feed, as a webcam, as if you were just plugging another USB webcam in. Really, really simple, nothing about it. It's complicated or technical at all. Very, very simple to get through the sort of the IT security phase because there's nothing else coming into the network, purely just a video feed. The bit that we stumbled across quite early on all came down to that connectivity. Hampshire and Thames Valley covers a lot of rural area, but also quite a lot of densely populated cities, and the nature of what we were trying to use them at, trying to attend football stadiums, and you've got 30,000-40,000 people all with mobile phones. We also want to use that 4G connectivity. We were starting to find that we were having issues with connections, with connection speed, and the quality wasn't great. So rather than using that as a webcam feed, same as you're looking at me today, we looked at the screen share solution that's provided within the Teams solution. What that allows us to do, it just completely reduces the bandwidth, brings it down to a really low requirement. We were able to bring that feed still in as a webcam feed. We were able to then screen share what we have from that feed on the laptop and then pump that straight back out as a screen share. Really low quality, and actually it doesn't affect the quality for the end user. You can still see a really good quality feed as you'd expect to see being that end user. But the nice thing was that it could also be delivered to anybody. Moving on, we then had a second platform come in. This new platform didn't have that same capability of an HDMI out, so we had to change it around a little bit. So what we looked at is investing in the right sort of tablet capability to both run the tablet, run the drone, and be able to stream at the same time. We looked at a number of solutions, and we went for the Samsung Galaxy Active in the end. It was an LTE 4G enabled device, so we didn't need to worry about trying to find connectivity from other means, be that connecting to an issued smartphone, trying to find a vehicle that we had a built-in vehicle hotspot, or trying to source a broadband connection from either a local business from the event that we were attending. It was an all-in-one solution, and it proved really popular and very similar. That tablet's preloaded with all those links that the end users, our force incident managers, our frontline officers can get to. They request the feed, the meeting's opened, we join as a pilot, we screen share what you can see, and there we go. Everything that the pilot can see can now be seen by any frontline officer, anyone else who was given access to that link to continue. That is as complicated as it gets. We've tried to make it a really simple solution for both the end user and for the pilots. The pilots have got lots and lots of process to work through themselves, from their risk assessments, from prepping the device for flight, to actually getting it up and over the incident or the event that they're managing. We didn't want to put too much more process, and it's just proving so far to be that really simple solution for everybody to use. So with that, Andy, I'll hand back to yourself.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, so the next stage we're going to move on to is who do we drone live stream to? The honest answer is it can be streamed to anyone. The flexibility of the Teams platform, the software, anybody that has the Microsoft Teams software can effectively view the live stream in the ways that Dan has explained. So we've set up an access to all sort of solution as one option, and the second option is that we can invite specific people into a live stream link by creating a separate meeting invite. So we have it that anybody with a policing purpose can view that live stream. Now, where this benefits differently to the live stream capability from the conventional aircraft, helicopters and aeroplanes, it now means that response officers in the front line that are at the scene of incidents, and I'll come on to later the sort of types of incidents that we'll be talking about, they can now view that drone live stream, that air support live stream, whether it be during the daytime or at night, because that drone is equipped with a thermal imaging camera. So we've gone from a situation where the stream could historically only be seen in predetermined locations like control rooms or event control rooms that have been set up for a specific event or operation, to a system now where anybody can view it on multiple platforms, whether it be a mobile phone, a Teams enabled mobile phone, a laptop or a desktop. So the two screens or the two images you can see there, as Dan's explained, it can be on a laptop based system or on the tablet. The tablet picture you see there in front of you is how we've set up those stream links to be bookmarks on the tablet. So on the left you have got 4 white Teams icons, they are the Hampshire stream links, and on the right you have the Thames Valley stream links. And the pilot or operator of the drone effectively just clicks on one of those links. That then starts the meeting or the stream, and then other people can view it at the other end. Next slide, please. So the benefits and task types, and who do we live stream to? So I've mentioned response officers, control rooms, strategic and tactical commanders, people that are making risk-based decisions based on the live information that they are getting from the drone, and that information is key for them to be able to make those decisions. And those decisions may be based around, do they have enough resources to deal with the incident? Can they actually release some resources because we don't need as many, and those resources can then be returned back to other policing priorities that are going on in the force at the same time. Firearms and public order commanders, they are directing their resources based on where the greatest threat is, and that information of where the greatest threat is coming from the drone live stream. Tactical advisors, the tactical advisors are giving specialist advice to the strategic and tactical commanders of how to bring incidents to a successful conclusion. The other benefit to who we can live stream to is it's not just within policing or the emergency services. Local authorities, when we are responding to major incidents, lots of different stakeholders, everybody that has access to Microsoft Teams can view that drone live stream, and partner agencies. So key benefits, as you can see from that slide, is that it's interoperable with anybody using the Microsoft Teams software. It's access to all. It's also an auditable platform. And what we mean by that is that you can see who has joined the link and at what time. And if there are any concerns whether that person should have joined that link, you've then got the opportunity to follow that up at a later date. Dan has arranged for a security reminder to be put in the chat box. So when anybody joins that stream, in the chat is a reminder saying that you should only be joining this stream for a legitimate purpose. So just a general reminder there about our core values. We can be viewed on multiple devices, as I've mentioned. The low resolution, connectivity, us operating this setup using 4G in some areas where there is low connectivity or low signal strength, we're not having issues of picture lag, picture breakup, the screen freezing. We've yet to find a location where we cannot get a live stream out. As a result of this capability, drones are now being requested more for operations, events and incidents purely for the live stream capability that they deliver to the commanders. We have the added function of the communication through the microphone or the chat. So if our airwave radio systems are overwhelmed by the number of users or cell site activity, and the force incident managers or commanders need to get an urgent message to the drone operators, they can do so as we're chatting now, or they can put that in the chat box. So you'll see on the right there a summary of the types of incidents that the drones would respond to and where the live stream would add real value to the successful conclusion of those incidents. Major incidents, public order incidents, policing of events, that crowd control, crowd dynamics, containment of multi-arrest warrant operations. Certainly if we are going into a site in darkness, there is risk to the people that we're going to detain, and there's risk to our own officers. The live stream capability, providing a thermal imaging picture, shows all of the officers and the commanders if anybody is attempting to escape out of that site, and how we can then contain that area, or actually everything's going as planned with the outcome as predicted. And some additional sort of examples there in that list. Next slide, please. So here we have some use case examples, and I'll start with the top right box. These are examples of incidents where we've actually deployed the drone and we've demonstrated the live streaming capability to good effect. The top right box is an urban search and rescue exercise, multi-agency, police, fire, ambulance, local authority, and it's a relicensing exercise for urban search and rescue where they put a load of building rubble and actors and pretend casualties, and you can see there the drone is a cage around it and it's flying in and amongst all of the debris, and we are live streaming what the drone can see to urban search and rescue team leaders, to fire command vehicles. This particular incident generated a lot of interest, and we had fire officers coming up to us and saying, could you just stream that to my boss who's sat at a desk in Birmingham at the moment, just to demonstrate the capability of this. The second one at the bottom right, a protest removal operation, again being able to live stream the drone that's at the same head height of the police officers that are going in to detain those protesters, and the drone is capturing really good evidence. And then the final one to the left, and this is a particular good example, an individual that suffering from a mental breakdown, had taken himself up to a navigation marker at 9 o'clock in the morning, and multi-agency response for the safety of that individual. The drone was used, and we did not fly the drone. We actually perched it on the roof of a van, but we were live streaming to the control rooms, the other blue light responder commanders, and this was an incident that went on from 9 in the morning until quarter to midnight, and throughout that whole event we were able to give all of the responders and the commanders a view discreetly, so that we weren't putting that individual under any additional pressure, but we were able to discreetly provide that feed. I know that there's some questions, David. Is there any that you want to sort of put in?
Yeah, some fantastic questions coming in, and I'll start off with a comment from Henry Parsons, who said that they've used it in TVP, Thames Valley, provided excellent situational awareness as a silver commander for public order, and in short, it's turned him from a non-believer to an absolute advocate for it. So that's a fantastic comment back from
It's
Henry.
really
But
good.
there's a couple of questions in there. So can you access and review the recordings if needed? That's also linked to whether you're using the record facility in Teams. How do you go around the recording element of the drone footage?
Okay, so we don't actually record the Teams footage because the drone is recording the footage to a secure digital card on the drone. So yes, we could actually use the record function within Teams as a backup, you know, in case that we have an issue with the SD card being corrupt, or, you know, an issue with the drone itself, but that's not something that we feel that we need to do at the moment.
No problem, thank you. And again, there's a couple of questions in there about how could this technology be used in other instances. So, you know, are you using the same sort of team streaming solution for other CCTV feeds or for more covert types of operations? I think you pretty much covered that in that use case by having the drone on the top of the van, but is there any examples around that?
Yeah, I think again, a really good question. I think you know, another point to raise with the use of Microsoft Teams is because it's a software platform that's being used through our force networks. Its security protective rating is too official sensitive. So the use of the drone and the types of incidents that we're responding to, and the security of the live stream, you know, that what we're actually showing the commanders is rated to that level of protection. We don't yet see a need to go above that. So secret or above, there's no need. If we had that need, then we'd probably be looking for separate encrypted encoders. But Microsoft Teams delivers absolutely everything we need with the data security, you know, protection with it as well.
And I think that's a point for Matt from Leicestershire Drone Team, who's struggling with Skype a little bit at the moment and doing the screen share, and is asking whether Teams just needs to be authorised by the IT. The reality is, Matt, that the rollout of NEP Teams means that all forces have the same standard and capability. The whole Teams environment is protected by the National Management Centre and the security infrastructure. As Andy quite rightly says, it's all been approved. All the content on Teams is approved to official sensitive, so it can be used in that way. And the full rollout position for a force means that Teams should be available on their mobile devices. So if you are struggling with anything like that, just please contact your local program team, and you could potentially be exploiting the Teams capability much quicker, because Teams is rolling out anyway to forces. So you're able to that, and Teams is just one element of the 365 solution. A really nice question here about, have you calculated the financial benefits of this excellent service?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's again a really good question, and it's something that we're still evaluating ourselves. You know, on the slide in front of you, you can see that there was a direct cost saving through not having to purchase a commercial, system. We already had access to the Teams. We don't need to buy multiple products for the number of drones that we've got. So there's the savings to be had. And we classify it as added value. It's the added value of deploying a drone to an incident that can be there for as long as you need it to be there, but the live streaming element as well. And it's how deep you go, you know, being able to send less officers to an incident in the first place because of the information that the drone is giving the commanders. There's a saving, you know, attached to that. So it's the saving of the actual equipment, and you know that you don't actually need a lot of extra to be able to introduce it. We've demonstrated that there isn't a lot of additional cost, you know, to be able to get the stream from the drone onto Teams, and then all the other added benefits as well.
There's a couple of questions in there about the battery life and drones, etc. So I'd imagine you can quite easily switch from one drone feed to another feed quite easily during this sort of process.
Yes, we can. So, you know, we can do what's called a hot handover. So we'll have more than one drone at the incident. and as one drone needs to land for a battery change, then another drone is brought into the incident. We deconflict through communication between the drone pilots, and as soon as the second drone is on scene, they can either be already streaming but on a different link. We've shown that we have 4 separate links already set up in each force, so that could be already streaming, and all the commanders or the end user has to do is swap from one stream to the other, or we just take the HDMI lead out of the one transmitter and plug it into the other transmitter, and then you've got the direct feed that way. It depends on what drone you're using, but we can certainly provide that continual live stream during battery changes.
That's fantastic. Another question in relation to how do you manage the distressing images being sent to all officers potentially, but obviously you have got that audit trail and that management of the situation. How do you go around making sure that's going on, or is that down to the commanders in charge of the incident?
It's down to the commanders in charge of the incident, but it's also down to the drone operators as well. As part of their training, they are told to minimise collateral intrusion, accepting that the incident that they're attending may be something that they have to provide the imagery for. So it might be distressing not just to the drone pilots, but to to anybody else viewing that stream as well. We could quickly resolve that by moving from an access all stream and set up a separate invite only stream, and only people that are involved in that incident then see those images.
Well, we are running out of time, and we do really work hard to make these webinars short and snappy so people can consume them. Obviously, the recording will be going on live there. I want to thank you and Dan for presenting this to us today, and I think we've had a great deal of interest, and the questions will go on. I do reiterate, if you have got questions in your force, please get in touch with us at NEP-info at our website or through your delivery team, so that we can compile the sets of questions together and take less time of Andy up because of the operational needs he's got to move that forward. In many ways, this is just another reuse of our modern ways of working, modern meetings capability. We aren't doing anything that technically more capable than you'd expect. It's just a different way of being able to share footage and use the same technology over and over again. Next week, we'll be looking forward to the next sets of capability that are about to land into police use of Teams and 365, where we'll be looking at what's been recently announced by Microsoft at their Ignite conference, which was last month, where they look at all the sorts of functionality that's going to be made available. Because of the way the NEP is built, is as soon as functionality comes available, it comes available to the force straight away, because we've done all the assurance, the security ahead of the game. And even this week, new functionality has arrived in the Teams tenant that allows you to transcribe meetings on the fly. So those are the sort of things we're going to be covering next week. All the future events are on the Enabling Centre and on the website. Please do check them out. If you want to subscribe to our mailing list so you get updates around these events, just hit the website, right at the bottom of the website, fill in the simple form, and we'll be sending emails out. But all I can do again is thank Andy and Dan for their time today, sharing something that's a lot of forces have been wrestling with, but I think we've got a really elegant, simple solution that's making a real impact to the communities of the two forces there. So fantastic work, and we hope you can join us next week. Thanks very much.